I know I've used this footage many times to open a video, but I swear, this will not be the last time. You see that winch sticking out the front? I don't like that. Yes, I'm the one that made it happen many years ago, but that was then and this is now. Today, I'm going to relocate the winch to a much better place with much more ground clearance. The old setup worked okay, and it allowed me to use the winch in the front or at the back of the Sport Trac. But when the engine timing broke last year, we used the winch to load it onto the tilt bed trailer. During that, the fairlead started to bend down, and that's when I decided it needed to be made better. I'd like to tuck the winch up behind the front bumper and possibly use the tow hook mounting holes to hold everything in place. Depending on clearance, I may also put the 2-inch receiver tube below the winch plate. In a perfect world, I would take this front bumper cover off and remove the understructure to give myself plenty of room to work. But I tend to have a habit of making things more difficult than they need to be. My winch of choice would be the Harbor Freight Badlands Apex 12,000-pound winch, but it might be too big to fit in from the bottom. It's a bit of a bummer, but don't worry, I have another option. I have the Smitty-built X20 10,000-pound winch that was previously mounted on the 2-inch receiver plate. Let's get this receiver tube removed to start things off. I do plan to keep the tow hooks in their same spot once this is all done. Okay, I have the main body of the Apex ready to bench in. I spent about 15 minutes working and wiggling, but the Apex just won't fit. I guess that leaves the Smitty-built as the winch of choice. I need to disassemble the Smitty-built from the receiver plate it was mounted on. Alright, let's do some more bench pressing. This winch is a bit lighter than the Apex, but not by much. Angling to the passenger side first seemed to work better to get the winch in. I have the winch precariously sitting on the tow hook tabs, but it looks like we have clearance. Now we just need a winch plate to hold everything in place. This is a universal winch plate off of Amazon. It's pre-drilled with the winch mount holes, but it is too long for the Sport Trac frame, so we'll need to cut it to length. This tool shop brand abrasive chop saw will make short work of this winch plate. I can use the old hitch receiver plate I made a few years ago to mark out the new mounting holes for this winch plate. And I just happened to place it in nearly the perfect position. A few quick pilot holes, and then I can move on to the hole reamer. I like using these hole reamers instead of a step bit. They last longer, they're more smooth, and they make a nice hole. The one downside is they love to grab material if you're not properly secured.
Whoops.
Let's see it up in the Sport Trac. That should work quite well. Just a few more spots to trim. For now, I'm not going to put the receiver tube back on. Time to attach the winch for good. I did need to lengthen the transmission cooler lines to clear the new winch plate. I also needed to lengthen the wiring for the winch, since I am moving the main control box from the top of the winch up to by the hood latch area. You don't need to see me bench press this thing again and again, so I jumped ahead to the winch mounted test. Everything clears, now the tow hooks can be added and the control box mounted. I'm routing the wiring alongside the transmission cooler and behind the hood latch over to the control box. I'll mount the control box on the driver's side of the hood latch, but first let's make sure all the wiring actually works. Oh yeah, that'll do nicely. The wiring is now secured and the control box is mounted. All that's left is to clearance the top cover plastic. That cutout should work and still leave room to access the power switch and the hardwired remote connections. One thing I never checked when mounting the control box was the clearance to the hood when it's closed. Having the hood staying shut is kind of important, so I had to channel my inner Ken Miles to make some clearance, Clarence. Just like that, snug as a bug in a rug. Now that everything is mounted, the bull bar is back on, it's time to go test everything. It's March 2026, so that means it's the annual trip to Utah, playing in Moab and Sand Hollow. For this year's trip, the group took 4 vehicles, 3 winches, 2 dirt bikes, and had one awesome week. And wouldn't you know it, no winches were used. I think I'll have to find something more difficult to get stuck on. Thanks for watching.
Straighten out. Right there. Keep coming. Little driver. Yeah, that's not as bad as it looks. Passenger. There you go. I bet not. Nicely done. Ouch. Door is down. Poor driver, you probably want to have your tire right there. There you go. All right, keep it kind of right in the trajectory you're going. Nice and slow. Maybe a little passenger. There you go. Now you're on that, you're just at the edge of that passenger rock. Now you're, oh God. You're three-wheeling on the back, so. Holy shnikes. Yep, you're just gonna have to drive her and go because you're really there. Nice and slow.